Good evening, loves, and welcome to a taste of Lavina, Poetic, Empress, coming at you with a taste of True the Poetic, Mr. Eric DeVaughnn. Welcome. Welcome. Good evening, Brian. Good evening, Kiana, Pearl. Thank you for joining, guys. Welcome to the show. Good evening, Red Plate Society. How are you guys doing this evening? Thank you for joining. Um, I like to get started with my books that are available on Amazon.com. Deepest Thoughts by Lavina, Expressions by Lavina, and My Dirty Little Secret. All available on Amazon. And if you guys ever wanted to purchase all three, in the tri-state area, I bag them up in a nice shiny red bag and deliver them in person. Now, let me check and see if my guest is in the building. Hold on, guys. Let me send him a request. Oops. No, that's not what I want. I hope everyone's day has been super fantastic. And wait a minute, I think. Well, good evening, William Washington and Jeffrey. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate it. And you guys, Mr. Washington has a show which comes on weekdays at 7 p.m. It's one on poetry. It's a great show to tune into also. Oh, you guys, thank God my guest has arrived. Let me get him an invite sent over. 5, 4, 3. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a taste of Lavina, Poetic, Empress, coming at you with a taste of True the Poetic, Mr. Eric DeVaughnn. How are you this evening?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you for the introduction. Good to be here. Appreciate you having me.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Now, excuse me, sorry. You were saying something else. I don't want to overtalk you.
I just said no problem.
Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Eric DeVaughnn, True the Poetic. He is a father, an author, an educator, and a poet, and so much more. Mr. Poetic, please tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about Divinity Books. Before I ask my first question, please.
Certainly. Yeah. So in a divinity book, well, I guess a little bit about myself. I've been writing as long as I can remember, in a number of different forms. I remember reading a poem back in 5th grade, and I was like, it was just incredible to me how the poet made the world that they were creating come to life in my mind. And I was like, I can almost feel the heat. I can almost smell the smoke in the air that's being described in this poem. And when I hear something, see something, experience anything that makes me feel a type of way, the way my mind goes, I gotta try it. So that made me want to start writing. And it was just always so amazing to me that the power to give someone else an emotion was so tangible and readily accessible. If you master this craft, you can make people feel what you're feeling. You can communicate so much more effectively. And over the course of my life, I've had a number of experiences where that has continued to be proven true. Whether it was writing gospel music, writing poems, writing stories, it really didn't matter. But I love this craft of using the pen to communicate. And in a divinity books, you asked about it. Oh, so when I published my first book, I self-published, and looking back, I can see, I would have changed that and done that differently. I would have done that differently. But I realized I love the process. I
Okay.
love every little thing about it, going through and making sure, excuse me, all the spacing is correct. Where does
Mhm.
this word go on the page? And it's evolved from just making sure all the technical stuff. I still love all the technical stuff, but it's
Right.
evolved into how can you, now that I am publishing for other people, and I guess I should probably talk about how I came to publish for other people, because I enjoyed the process so much. I was working with Dark Man Blues,
Mhm.
and he's the one who inspired me to write my first book.
Mhm.
And I really appreciated how willing he was to share his knowledge with just anyone and be so open about it. A lot of people can be stingy about what they know. They don't want anybody else to know that. Maybe that gives them
Exactly.
sort of a leg up on them. But it's
Mhm.
not about competition. You know,
It really isn't.
if we're a community, we should be sharing our knowledge,
Exactly.
and helping other people to grow as well. And he did that for me, and I saw how willing he was to do it with other people,
Mhm.
and we decided to work together. And people appreciated uh, what I was able to do with my first book, and
Mhm.
asked me, "Hey, can you help me make mine?" Sure. So I
That's
started
awesome.
helping other people, and to get back to that previous point, it was a challenge, but a welcome challenge for me to look at someone else's work and try and interpret how best to bring it to life on the page,
Mhm.
you know. Um, and I think what Innate Divinity Books represents is building the artistic community, highlighting those unheard voices, and providing a space where the poet, well, not just poets, because we published other types of books as well, but where, specifically speaking about poets, the writer can put their voice into the world and also retain their rights. Because there's a lot of people
Exactly.
who want to rope you into a contract and own your stuff, or at the very least, let's go ahead. Yeah, we'll put your work out there, but you got to pay me this
Yes.
much. And
Mhm. Come
and
on.
I've always, yeah, I've struggled with that.
Mhm.
You know, now that's not to say that the process of publishing does not have costs. It absolutely does incur costs, you know,
Yes.
um, and it takes a skilled person, a skilled eye to handle editing, formatting. These can be costly, but it's such a valuable service because their end product will end up being something that you can be proud of,
Right.
and I think that is what Innate Divinity Books strives to be, a place you can go where you can, if you're paying for services, you will get a product that you are proud of, and your voice remains true.
That's awesome.
That
That's
was a lot
awesome.
of talking.
No, it's good. That's what they want. They want to hear. They want to know when we ask questions. So it's
All right.
totally great. You answered part of my first question, which
Okay.
was, when did your passion for writing and speaking emerge? So, fifth grade on the writing. How about speaking your poems? When did that occur?
Uh, so I started, um, I was interested in spoken word back when, what was it? HBO's Def Poetry Jam jumped off. We didn't have HBO in my house, so I was trying to watch it through the squiggly lines on the TV. I don't know if anybody remembers that. If you did back in the day, if you did not have channels on your TV, certain channels, you might be able to tune it in, and then it's just
But,
like
right.
disrupted, right? So I'd be listening, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. I
Mhm.
love what they're doing with this poetry. But I recognized that I didn't have it in me to uh, deliver
Right.
poetry that way. because I felt I didn't understand. I didn't know what it was. I was like, there's some sort of power in their voice, and I don't know where it's coming from. I don't. Is that anger? I just didn't know.
Mhm.
Q 2014, the years leading up to 2014, I was really paying attention and learning about my culture. I was learning about um, my people's history in this country,
Mhm.
and I was watching to see what was happening in the news.
Mhm.
Hey, Erica. Hey, let me take a quick second to say hi, everyone who showed up in the chat. Everybody who's watching, I appreciate you coming up. Okay, um, I need you to bring me back on track. What was I just talking?
You were to speaking on you speaking for the first
Yeah,
time in the
yeah.
yes.
So I started to develop a fire.
Mhm.
Um, and I realized that developed internally, and I was making YouTube videos commenting on some things that were happening. I made a video about Sandra Bland, and I
Mhm.
was on fire. I made videos. I talked about Eric Garner. I made short videos commenting on Alton Sterling, and
Mhm.
all of this was weighing heavily on me, right? Um, and then someone reminded me that spoken word was a thing because I hadn't been thinking about it in quite some time.
Mhm.
So a friend of mine took me in 2015 to Fly Poet. I don't know if anyone's aware of what that is, but Fly Poet is an event out in LA area, and it's amazing. This brother brings in some incredible spoken word talent from across the country, all right, across the world, and also brings in some musical acts, uh, and it's a good time. It's a good time. So I went this particular day, and I heard Talam AC, a poet, and Majestic. I heard a few people, and I was like, oh, wow, I think I'm ready to try this now.
Mhm.
So I came back home from that event and I looked for the first open mic I could find. And
Mhm.
I went and I hopped on the stage, and I hadn't really written any poetry
Mhm.
uh, late, lately, but I had this rap that I'd written called
Mhm.
Backslider.
Mhm.
And it was about, so I really stepped away from church.
Okay.
Um, I wasn't gone at that point yet, but I was close.
Mhm.
And I had this song that I'd written, and the song goes back and forth. It alternates verses, well, not even verses, it alternates stanzas within each verse, where the first few lines are the pastor
Mhm.
preaching from behind the pulpit, and
Mhm.
then the guy sitting in the congregation is listening, and he's in his mind, he's arguing the points that the pastor is preaching. But then the next thing the pastor says kind of responds back to what he was just. And I don't know if
Mhm.
people have ever had that experience where you feel like you're sitting in church and it feel like he's talking right to you, you know?
Oh, yes,
Uh,
that has happened.
right. So that was the concept of it. They're
Mhm.
going back and forth, and then the hook is it plays on those two voices. It combines those two voices. Um, I think the hook was, and when I perform it, I like it when the room is split, and I'll tell people, okay, you guys are gonna get the preacher verses, and you guys are gonna get the backside of verses, and then I'll just perform it to either side, going back and forth, and then the
Mhm.
hook is, I'm coming back, Slider. Let me remind you the Lord's coming back, Slider. Let me remind you the Lord's coming back,
Okay.
Slider. Let me.
Well,
It was a
Mr.
bop.
Mr. Poetic, I mean, are you able to do that? Could you do that now for the guest?
Oh, yeah. I think I can. I hadn't planned on it, but I think I can do that one. Yeah, I just gotta.
If not, we can do another one. I mean, because I
I
would
got
like
it.
you to do a couple of poems. So,
I have
but
more. I have more. So, I'd love to try it. I'm
okay,
down.
let's go, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
Mr. Poetic Please. The floor is yours.
All right. So I was going by True when I wrote this.
Okay.
The king said it best, so they wrote the quote note for note, singing songs where we told the mess. Show confess, felt like Job where we smoked the chest, broke but blessed, no peace, broken heart. He's a man apart. Man, understand, I'ma start to withdraw from y'all. When it's dark and I can't get a call from y'all, when I walk through the valley of the shadow and battle my old God, can't stall, it's too far to fall. Oh God, there's Saul on the warpath again. Slid back into that, been trying to hinder that elect group, a select few who worship in spirit, truth. Saints, he's calling y'all. But he don't really see how it sometimes be, because sometimes he unties me to guide my feet. But me, I want to go running back to the old, where the fact is I know that they just like me, about to bust like me, because I'm in it but not of it. Trust and don't covet, you must grow above it. Higher grounds are gold, and what I found, I know that when the Lamb shows, he don't want the public. Well, I'm of it because I'm in it. I love it because a minute ago I was so independently sold to the ministry, told I could enter and boldly the throne. Now I'm only alone and unholy, I'm coming back. Slider, let me remind you the Lord's coming back. Slider, let me remind you the Lord's coming back. Slider, let me remind you the Lord's coming back. Slider, let me remind you the Lord's, I'm coming back with the vengeance and no pretense in me. It don't make no sense if it's no intensity, but I'm going to be real. When I'm done with my fight, I'm going to run for my life like I'm Kimmy Burrell. I'm coming back. Slider, let me remind you the Lord's on his way. One day's going to come crack sky. The dead in Christ going to rise. If we remain, you're not going to recognize, because we be changed in a blink of an eye. All right, man. And what if that's a story they just told to help you sleep at night? Can spend your whole life wise, holy, straight, narrow, and godly. Didn't know that I was only aimed at sparrows and not me. God, he got me with a agape. Do not be dismayed and be not deceived by these evil days, because these wicked ways will leaven your flesh, and no sinner make it into heaven's procession. No, he think I don't know that? He think I can't recite it? I'm just quiet. I don't show that because I'm still a house divided. He thinks I'm okay because I was trained up in the way, but I did enough today to build 7 confessionals. A broken spirit cannot be ignored by God. I draw near it when you start with a contrite heart. Man, I could do without the loud whoop and whatnot, but it's true. Trust God and just move. I do. I'm coming back. Slider, let me remind you the Lord's coming back. Slider, let me remind you the Lord's coming back. Slider, let me remind you the Lord's on his way. Don't stray. Be faithful and pray. I'm coming back. Slider, let me remind you the Lord's coming back. Slider, let me remind you the Lord's, I'm coming back. Don't worry. I'm going to hurry up too, just as soon as I'm done having my fun. Thou fool now, who said you had room to relax? Few had the view of Acts chapter 2, like you, who sung in unknown tongues, delivered from among singing, the living one springing up like a well till the river runs through it. Man, I said I'm going to do it, so let me get to it. I'm done walking earthy, unworthy of glory. I need, Lord, from you a new birth. Restore me.
Yes, yes, yes. That was fire. Wow.
Hey, thank you.
Awesome.
I can't do it at performance speed because I don't have the breath for that anymore. Old age catches up.
Brooklyn in the house said, and he claims he wasn't prepared for that
Oh, I
piece.
wasn't. That's the
Yes.
one. Sometimes those pieces are just in you, right? That's one of
It's
those.
just in you. It doesn't matter how long or whatever, you could just,
Middle
yes.
of the night, somebody pull you out of bed. Do that
Okay.
piece now. You got to be
Mr.
prepared for that.
Mr. Washington said, preach, preacher.
Now see, I wish I had my other, and I've got another piece that I wrote about where I am, um, in terms of my religion, my faith walk. That one is not nearly as ingrained, but it came to a point where I would only do that first one if I could do the next one, which shows
Okay.
the balance and contrast. But just suffice it to say, I'm not in that space anymore. Yeah,
Okay. So, well, can I ask what changed?
certainly. um, so I did a lot of research, a lot of reading. I've always been a very curious mind,
Okay.
especially as a child. But I think you think you're gonna grow up and know enough to where you won't be so curious, but the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. Right. So I I started studying. I wanted to know certain things like, okay, the Bible says this, but it also says this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Bible says this, but that doesn't seem possible.
Mm-hmm.
Not even just I have something to accept on faith, but it doesn't mention that there were any other people on the planet. So where did Cain go to, and who was
Mm-hmm.
his wife, and
Mm-hmm.
what that
Mm-hmm. Where
happened
are
in
these
this
people coming
situation?
from?
And right, yeah. So there, so from little things like that to more complex things, things that cause me to question the character of God as described in the Bible. Some of the people that God let slide for doing some of the things they did, versus some of the
Mm-hmm.
people that He struck dead on the spot based
Mm-hmm.
on, even though they were supposed to be righteous and their intention. I'm like, well, this person's intention was to stop the Ark of the Covenant from falling to the ground, and you
Mm-hmm.
struck him dead on the spot simply because he touched it. But
Mm-hmm.
this man over here sent a whole human to die so that he
Mm-hmm.
could steal his wife, but you left him alone.
You better
And yeah,
preach
you
it.
took, right. So certain things like that cause me to question, well, what is this character, the character of this character, what is this God's character
Mm-hmm.
really? And I, and that turned into, okay, well, where did the Bible even come from? I've heard that um it was it was rewritten and interpreted so many times. I heard about this King James fellow, and how no people they interpreted it for him, and he was like, no, 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 that's not enough. I needed to say certain things. I needed to convey
Mm-hmm.
a certain message, and sent them
Mm-hmm.
back to do it again. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so if I can't start there
Mm-hmm.
because that's based on a man's ideology, I got to
Mm-hmm.
go back before that. So what was the Bible before that? And then when you start getting into that mindset, how far back do you go?
Hello.
Right? So
And
things like that. And it ends up being a rabbit hole. Yes, it does.
yes.
um,
So I take
so
it you took
that's
the
what
red
happened.
pill.
That's it. I am red. Yeah.
Welcome to being awake.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to bring you back for another conversation. So we
I'll be
okay?
ready
'Cause
for it too. Yeah.
I know that's gonna be nice because it's you don't always get to talk with people
Yeah.
who are awake, you know, because you'll say certain things and it's like, what? How dare you? You know. So
Right.
yes, I'm definitely gonna have to do a show. We'll do it on my process through cancer. That'll be a more
Oh,
relaxed
okay.
atmosphere. We'll have a conversation and pull up some, you know, some truth.
That part. Now, I do want to mention, when you say truth there, you mentioned, you introduced me as Mr. Poetic. I gotta say that True the Poetic is only my Instagram handle. Yeah, well, I mean, it's a on a few different platforms, but I've only ever gone by True.
True.
Yeah, right. True. The Poetic is only because True was too common and it wasn't available. So I
Okay.
had to add the Poetic in order for that to be
Okay.
legitimate online. Yeah,
Got you. Got you. Well, I apologize.
no
Please.
apology necessary.
Okay. Thank you. Now, my next question is you have a book. What is the title
Hmm.
and is it poetry or what?
I have a few books. The first one was Aggressive. The
Mhm.
title of the first one was Aggressive. Uh, and then, and while I was writing Aggressive or putting together that book and finishing it up, I was pulling out poems that I felt would be better suited for a second book dedicated to my daughter called The Beauty of Dragons. Those are both
You are just all in my questions. Okay, but go ahead.
Okay, I'll stop. So my first book is called Aggressive.
Mhm.
Um, I have a second edition to that book, which is
Mhm.
called Aggressive, the the inherent violence of my beastly unbecoming.
The
And
inherent violence of
violence
the
my
unbecoming.
of my beastly unbecoming. Yeah.
Oh, that's. Can you read a poem from there? Can you read one? Or
I can. I thought I just had
please?
a copy next up. Here we are. I was like, I know I had a copy somewhere. This is the current cover. It's been through many iterations.
Mhm.
So if I'm feeling it, I may change it again. You know how on Netflix, uh, some of the title, the cover pictures end up switching. Let's just keep people
Mhm.
interested. That's what I think that
Mhm.
is. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. I haven't. Oh, yes, I have. Okay. Completely different tone from where we were. Ah, I thought it was right here. Maybe not. Okay, so up there it is. Yeah. I don't know if you're ready for that one. Okay, I'll read that one.
It's a conscious piece.
It is not, but I will read
It,
a conscious piece. I'll read a conscious piece. Yeah.
okay, please. Okay. Yes.
Just a touch of backstory here. Um, I had a child with my daughter's mother,
Mhm.
and while she was still pregnant, um, we had a conversation outside of the ultrasound, the 3D ultrasound place. We were getting ready to leave. Um, her family had already left, but there had been a little bit of a dispute. And I tried to kind of soothe things. It didn't really work. They were disrespectful to me. And instead of getting caught up in it, I was like, okay. And I just walked away.
Mhm.
Um, my daughter's mother disrespected me, or she told me that my walk was too aggressive. That when I walked away, my walk had just been so aggressive. And I'm like, do you realize that we're standing in this conservative city? Do you realize that I'm sitting here so hyper aware of everything around me? That truck that just pulled out of that driveway, like they're about to leave, stopped and parked at the curb. And I'm thinking, are they watching the black man and the lighter complexion person in the parking lot? These shops are closing. And I'm thinking, I wonder how many shop owners are sitting here peeking through the windows with 9-1 dialed, just waiting to hit the next one to make sure this day, you know? And that microaggression comes from this person who's supposed to love me.
Mhm.
You just called me aggressive. I got to worry about all of them. And now I got to worry about you too. Poem. Let me become studious.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. I almost loved you. Almost let the home we started to build together negate the worlds of distance between us. Chasms grand and ever widening, like the candied, sweet, toothy smiles you always laid on my pillow. What I wouldn't give to smile like that. What I would not give to bare my teeth and be no beast wild, be no burden of civilized man whipped and tamed into silent and civil unrest. What I wouldn't give willingly just so it could not be taken. You wanted me to accept things you hold dear, even when they hurt. That's just how they are. But you could not accept the thing in me that screams in protest. You criticize my revolutionary bones, but that's just how they are. When I walk like a king, purposeful and dignified, you want me to apologize for each and every aggressive step. You watch me hunt for shade, prowl for rest. A peaceful predator, you prey on my trust, but my soul is a domesticated thing returning to wilderness. Sub-Saharan desert plains and jungles deep, call me home. Call me blessed for this crown you have cursed when I run. There must be some crime, some grave sin just around the corner. Surely justice is only steps behind. As you imagine carnage in my wake, you jog on, pushing soft through gentle winds. What I wouldn't give to run like that. What I would not give to fly free and be no great and pouncing cat, no sprinting lion, no terrible bundle of claws coiled to spring on you every time. Every time. I almost loved you.
Mm.
I didn't know you still see me as ravenous embrace. A warm and cozy feast of flesh ripped and pulled from the folds of your tender belly, monster in mittened hands. I can no longer recall exactly when, but it seems I have become blood-soaked grin in place of careful and tight-lipped smile, and you have learned to love my thick, padded paws best when they tiptoe around your pride.
Oof. Wow. That's laying out your heart, wanting freedom, being disappointed, for someone when you the thing is when you connect with someone and you bond with them and then the intimacy mentally, spiritually, physically, and then for someone to come at you like that, they don't know the damage that's done. So
They don't.
wow.
Yeah, be careful offending poets. You will be a poem.
Where do you think deepest thoughts came from?
Hey.
And I'm going to tell you, that should have been, my intention. Well, actually, I didn't even plan to write. I didn't even know poetry was in me because when I wrote the first poem, I said, I'm going to cuss this nigga out. I'm serious. And when I
Yeah,
wrote
I
it
know.
and I looked at it, I was like, God, this is not a cuss out. It actually became something beautiful. And I believe
Yes.
because God had to show me who I really am. Because on the flip, I know I have the gift to encourage. That's one of my gifts, to encourage. But I didn't know that because I came up, honey, tearing people down. And I so enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came to that place in my life where it wasn't a cuss out and it ended up being something beautiful, I was like, and it was a release,
Mm-hmm.
the healing to come and things of that nature. And then it just kept flowing.
Yeah.
So, and it's been flowing ever since. So wow.
Wow.
But that poem you just read was just um, beautiful, wonderful. And it's a blessed thing that you, being a Black man, can express yourself like that because so many don't know how. So many express it through fighting, shootings, killings, and things of that nature. So blessed be the man that can write, that can
I
express
love that.
himself.
I love that. Yeah, and thank you. Um, that reminded when you listening to you talk about wanting to curse somebody out, that pen, and then going back and looking at it and realizing you created something that is more substantial than
Yes.
simply cursing someone out.
Yeah.
It reminded me of another situation.
Mm-hmm.
A coworker
Mm-hmm.
it's similar, except it didn't come from someone who I cared about. You know,
Mm-hmm.
in this particular instance, it was unnecessary. I went to try and talk to her, adult to adult, and ask, "Hey, is there an issue? I heard such and such.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what happened?" And they were disrespectful to me. I walked away, like, okay, and they called me back, and then they insulted me again, and I was like, okay, I'm done, and I just walked away. I thought it was over. No, I work in education. They
Mm-hmm.
went to the principal, and apparently, I got called to the principal's office, and
Right.
apparently, I had big and black and scarried them. I had I was in her personal space, and I wouldn't let her walk away. That's not what I just told you happened, though, you know? And I'm sitting there telling them, why isn't she here? Please pull up the cameras. We were standing in the middle of the quad. If the cameras show that I was not letting her leave, fine, great. But that's not what happened. Pull up the cameras. They never did that, you know? So I ended up writing about that situation too. And it actually is funny because I was driving home on the
Mm-hmm.
phone and just saying all this reckless stuff. I hope
Mm-hmm.
she get eaten by a wild bear. It's ridiculous, and it was funny. And I decided to sit down and start writing all that stuff, all the petty, and that's my petty poem.
Mm-hmm.
And then the poem shifts into something else. You know, uh, my voice is soothing. How can anyone take me as aggressive? You gotta Brooklyn. You gotta ask them. You know, people have in their minds who they expect you to be. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and I think we have a responsibility as Black people. I don't like black. We got to figure out something else
Passionate
to call
people.
us. That's
Passionate people.
okay. All right. We got we got to figure out another. We got to figure out how to be. You know, we make sure that we're not justifying. You know, there. That's not true because I don't believe in restraining yourself. You know what I mean? You don't.
You know what I
It's
call it is I'm sure you've heard of alchemy,
yes.
and that's what we've been given. Like that's true alchemy. So, like you said, take something, be angry, and take that anger and turn it into something beautiful.
Yeah.
So, because we are everybody on the planet, no matter what color you are, has a right to be angry,
That. Yes.
and the deal is we have to all mature to a place where we express that anger. And I believe that's why we've been given all these gifts and talents, and we
Yeah.
can run, or you can go play ball, or you can skate. You can do so many other things to
Yeah.
release that anger. That includes writing and speaking and singing. All those things I believe have been given to us to release
Absolutely.
that um, those
Very well.
things, because it's just like when you're full of joy or something is funny, you release it through laughter. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So the same with that. And anger, uh, for me, and pain and stuff, because of the things I've been through, I discovered that's a power for me. I could, it took me a long time to come to a place and to know that, okay, how can I use this for my benefit?
Right.
First, I gotta go through the stages, the uh, being hurt, because that's where anger comes from, when somebody hurts your feelings. Then go through the stage of I check myself. Okay, well, did I do anything? And then I'm angry.
Mm.
I'm gonna attack, and
Right.
then and that's what I'm open to. I need this to work for my good. I need to create something with this, and that's what
Right. Right.
you know.
Yeah. And I
So,
don't necessarily feel we have an obligation to check ourselves.
oh,
Um,
you know what?
nah.
I'm gonna tell you, me checking myself. I gotta check myself
Okay.
because, yeah, it's just the checking that part in there of is for me
Okay.
because, like I said, I would take joy and I could serve up some stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why I got to check myself. Like, oh, skirt, stop, wait, hold up. You
Yeah,
know.
right, right. Now, I
Yeah.
think that's part of what that poem is talking about, though. For
Mm-hmm.
me, is it's wistfully kind of mourning the perceived loss of the right of to freedom. What I wouldn't give to run like that, what I wouldn't give to bare my teeth like that. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? What I wouldn't give to smile like that, because when I smile, you think I'm baring my teeth. What I wouldn't give to run like that, because it's not just running and flying free for me. You're looking for what's coming behind me. You're assuming that it's criminal. You don't look where I'm going. You look to where I'm been.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Right.
Yeah. So I think I am even in this even in this age of
Mm-hmm.
my 40s, my mid to late 40s. I'm heading into my late 40s, folks, and I'm still trying to find out, how do I operate in this skin.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this writing thing serves well. It does serve me
Yes,
well.
it does. It does.
Yeah.
It really does. Now, with that being said, please, can you bless us with another poem?
Okay, so I absolutely do that. This is my petty poem. I just mentioned it.
Okay.
It is okay. This is Acts of God for my coworker who lied after the spirit of Carolyn Bryant and other natural disasters. By the way, after this situation, I did spend the next, couple months banned, like banished to the corner of the field. The principal was on a warpath, and he was protecting his white women, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, but I ended up writing her a letter, and I pointed out the similarities between Carolyn Bryant and what the risk is of making false accusations against Black men, and how there's a long history in this country about that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I took it to the job, and I showed it. I had a copy for the principal, a
Mm-hmm.
copy for her, and a copy for myself, handwritten
Yes.
note. And the principal wasn't there, so I ended up going to the vice principal, a Black woman, and she was aware of the situation. She was there that day. She read the letter, said, "Yeah, you really can't give this to her." And I'm like, "What do you mean? It's not rude or anything. Yeah, you just don't want these problems." And I get what she was saying, but it really felt like, nah, don't make massive net. Nah, I really wanted to be a rebel about it, but the lady wasn't there anyway, it turned out.
Okay.
So this is the poem. I hope you pray for your eternal soul, and God answers. New phone, who this? I hope you dream of breastfeeding and wake up to a cat clawing off your nipples. It's petty, it's very petty. I hope your every sneeze is all build up and no release.
Oh, God.
I hope your orgasms are just like your sneezes. I hope you develop a severe allergy to anything that can soothe chapped lips. I hope every day is windy and dry. I hope you get mauled by a grizzly bear on a field trip to the zoo because someone said you smell like fish. I hope you go home and your dog forgets the scent of you. I hope your house floods every time you flush because all plumbers matter. I hope you get rejected by every woman you attempt to love because the color of your shoes reminds her of heartbreak and superstition. I hope someone warns your shadow before too late of the threat you pose to all things Black.
Mm.
Part two. I know these words well. They often sit perched precarious on the mountainside of my tongue, carefully attuned to the slightest tremor, eager to avalanche, to spill and tumble, hit the ground like browned bodies tend, to spread and grow, roll and collect debris, until you are smothered, like me, like thin blue forearm pressed against mahogany. 3. You stood unsinged in my wildfire, unaware how close you came to incineration. So of course you thought it safe to chase the storm, to call me back, to clarify like I don't know these words, like I don't know your clarify is a lit match casually tossed in the hills behind my mother's home. I walked away. Each step a mighty pressing against the urge to sling tsunamis over my shoulder in the direction of you mocking my righteous retreat. I walked away. You're welcome. 4. I don't care that you insulted me. I was coated in kingdoms and diamond cut carbon skin comes no thicker. But when you lied, said I claimed your space as my own, until I blotted out the sun, held you hostage in my midnight, and would not let you leave, they heard, feared for my life. 5. You embraced a monsoon, and the rain loved you back, washed you, Carolyn, rinsed away yet another pleading person poured out on pavement. You whisper winds, and 14-year-old boy bodies become bitter and full-blown hurricane, a destruction second only to earthquakes. Like the vibration of your vocal cords filtered through phone lines and itching ears, addicted to shaking loose entire worlds. It is human nature to preserve life. We see clouds and take shelter. We do not become them. You will never know the full fury of the storm until it is you who must rebuild. That's my petty poem. It doesn't stay petty for long, though.
No, it didn't. And how you switched it, just wow. Wow. You're amazing.
Oh, you're too kind.
Yeah, you're amazing. Yes. And your delivery, I love it. Yes, definitely. Definitely. Now, I have to ask, I ask all my guests 3 questions pertaining to my 3 books. One of your deepest thoughts, one of your favorite expressions, and one of your dirty little secrets. And the poet Rose Gold said, "You are amazing." She said, "He is." Yeah. So yes. And Brooklyn is putting up fire. I think Kamala, she's putting up fire. Hey Pam, hi cousin. But yes, please. So one of your deepest thoughts.
One of my deepest thoughts. I mean, deeper depth is relative. I will say that the closest I come to religion right now is my perception of truth. There is nothing larger than truth. That is the biggest concept that I can think of. And it includes whether or not there is a God. So in my mind, truth is bigger than the idea of God itself. And the only thing that I turn to for comfort that's like bigger than me is truth. I've had a lot of instances in my life. I had to grow into becoming the cynical, very, very realistic, skeptical person that I am today. I was very naive, very gullible, and I've had a lot of people lie to me because I just looked for the good in people and didn't know why people wouldn't just be honest. Like, why would they lie to me? I haven't done anything to harm them, but I had to grow to realize that people have their own motivations,
Right.
and it doesn't necessarily make them bad people, you know. But in those situations where I don't have the ability to simply pull the truth out of a person, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
what I finally came to realize is whether a person is willing to admit the truth or not, it exists. The
Yes.
truth is there and it is unaffected by anyone else's motivations.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think that is probably as close as I get to deep thought, at least in this moment.
And your
What was
favorite
this?
expression?
My favorite expression. Okay, something fun. Like when I'm playing with my daughter, I like to say, "Don't make me bite you," and it gets a chuckle out of her, gets a reaction. That's
Mm-hmm.
my girl. I miss her a lot. And today when I say goodbye, when I talked to her earlier, she's coming out of a COVID quarantine in a couple of days. I'm coming out of quarantine because I had her with me um, right before we realized she was COVID positive. I'll be coming out of quarantine a
She's
day or
good
two
now, right?
afterwards. Yeah, yeah, she's doing a
Okay.
lot better.
Thank
So,
God.
right. So when I talk to her on video, I tell her how much I miss her. The first thing I'm gonna do when I see her is I'm gonna give her all the hugs and all the kisses, but I'm also
Mm-hmm.
gonna blow her belly. That's no, she gets super funny about
Yes.
that. So favorite expressions have to do with her. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And she's how old?
She just turned 5 back at the end of November.
This is a great age also. Oh my goodness. I'm trying
People
to
say
tell
that.
you. I absolutely love being a mom.
Yeah.
Yes, and the older they get, the more amazing it is. Because
Wow.
it's gonna be like my son, he's 19 now. And
Yeah.
growing up, I watched Star Trek and stuff like that, but he
Mm.
ended up liking all the movies I like. So I'm like,
Yeah.
yes,
That's
Marvel
great.
movies and books. Like we've read books together,
Oh
by
man.
Dan Brown, Origin, things of that nature. So it's just, I'm telling you, for me, it's been amazing. I'm like, and that's not to say perfect, but
No,
I'm
of
just saying
course
I'm
not.
enjoying the person and then watching him grow and shape into this young man. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's good.
I
So,
think what's so amazing about being a parent from my perspective
mhm.
is it seems like a way to cheat time travel. Like you only live the life once, but you get a first-hand view of watching somebody go back and watching somebody experiencing things for the first time,
Yes,
and you see it up up close and personal, and it's
yes.
amazing to watch them grow and learn something new. And it's like, oh man, I wish I had the consciousness that I have now to be able to go back and experiencing that again for the first time. My daughter right now is saying, like, I'll compliment her when she says something
Mhm.
profound or does something cool, and I'm like,
Right.
that's such a good job, baby. How did you know that? She says, because I know everything. You really don't. Let me go ahead and tell you now.
But they really think they do.
She thinks she does. She thinks she does.
Yeah, they do. All of them
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, so when something comes out of his mouth that he don't know, look it up.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know what I
Oh,
mean? So,
absolutely. I can't wait to start telling her to look things up. And what's
mm,
really cool, I have been trying to get her interested in books
mhm,
since she was born. And so I've got like pictures of her holding a book by Ta-Nehisi Coates or books with uh, uh, Denise Smith has a brilliant book,
mhm,
and she's like lying on the couch, looking like she's reading the book, and she was
mhm,
like she was 3,
mhm, mhm.
my favorite, I got two favorite videos of her.
Mhm.
One, I wasn't even there for it. I gotta
Mhm.
I gotta say that one first just because it's so great. Um, she was in a car seat. Still, it was still rear facing. That's how young
Mhm.
she was, and her mother was in the driver's seat,
Mhm.
and grandma was sitting in the back seat and pointing the camera at my daughter. And the
Mhm.
mother is saying, Rosalie, Rosalie, I love you. Trying to get her to say I love you back. And she had already been saying that. So she says, Rosalie, I love you.
Mhm.
I love you, Rosalie. And Rosalie says, I love daddy. Yes, yes.
She's a daddy's little girl. Yes, I'm telling you.
Yeah, that was awesome. So that's
Listen, we love our dads.
hey, that's
All
my
little girls, we love our dads. It's
I need
like,
that to stay in the case as long as possible too.
I'm
That's
telling you, it
that's
just, that's amazing. I know
so
you
that
felt good.
oh I very did, yeah. And I was
Mhm.
like, man, I almost didn't see this, you know?
Mhm.
But the second video, that's my favorite, and it's just because she's so adorable when she does it. She's holding um Citizen, Citizen by Claudia Rankin.
Mhm.
Brilliant book.
Mhm.
And she's holding in the camera, sitting next to me, and she's talking to the camera about the book. She's got it
Mhm.
showing the camera, and then she opens it up, and she's talking about, and she's still babbling. No idea what she's saying.
Mhm.
And then she closes it and hugs it to her chest. And I looked at her and I said, "Good job." And she put her chin over it and said, "Thank you."
Oh,
Ah, you're too adorable.
now I'm gonna tell you, she'll probably, you sit and you read to her and all of that. She'll become a reader and things of that nature because me and my son's favorite places to go, two of our favorite places is libraries and Barnes and Noble.
Right.
So
Yeah.
keep it up. You know, she's just gonna continue to grow and flourish in
Yeah.
that. So yeah,
I
that's
love that.
really awesome. Now, give me your dirty little secret.
Oh, come on. I don't know. I don't know about that one. I'm sure I've got plenty.
Pick one that's not, they won't get you in any trouble.
I I don't know what would because I tend to put a whole lot of my dirty little secrets in here,
And yeah.
in my poems. But
Okay, wait a
ooh,
minute. Will I be opening a door I don't want to open if I say, read one of the poems with a dirty little secret in it?
there you go. That's all right.
But
Okay, let's
please
see.
be merciful. This is a family show.
Right. Yes, it is. Yes, it absolutely is. Is that weapons of warfare?
Our poetry families.
Yeah. I okay. Dirty little secret. I just thought of one, and it's
Okay.
non-poem related, but yeah, a lot of people don't know this about me, so I
Okay.
don't know. I am a bit of an exhibitionist.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't really get shy about being underdressed out in public.
Wait a minute. Say that a little louder. I,
I don't get really shy about my body. I don't get shy about being underdressed or people seeing me. Yeah, a little bit of
okay.
a exhibitionist there.
You like to be looked at and admired.
I mean, I
You
don't know
like.
about admired because I don't really care what people think. Yeah. So think
Okay.
what you will. Um,
Okay.
but let's bring that back to something less. I do have so I I don't write a lot of sexy poems,
Hmm.
but I do have one that I can share that's I think I consider it kind of a dirty little secret if that
Okay.
can count.
Okay.
Slow circles. I can taste you from here. Feather tip tongue in slow circles around all the tender secrets you didn't even know you had been keeping. A smile at your hands. They pull pillow corners, grasping for twisted sheets, your heels press free into earth. Rebellious waste fights to rise, fights to float off this planet we share, at least for the moment. You breathe me in sips, your back, curved, become archangel. Blissful whispers send shivers up and through your very core. Fingers drag and slow dance across white sands. Your holy landscape shimmers, teasing you into oblivion. Tease oblivion into now, into us, until we make soup of our senses and feast.
Wow.
That's my lowly attempt at erotica, I guess. Very tame, very tame.
You did, but no, but that, see, that's beautifully sensual. That's what I like. So no, it was perfect because I was like, okay, he's gonna do an erotic piece. Oh my God, is this gonna be 15 minutes long? And is it gonna be bang, bang? So no, it was beautiful. I enjoyed that piece.
Thank you.
Yes, I
Yeah,
enjoyed
that's my dirty little secret. How about that?
Yes, the tongue with circles. Oh, what's that? Oh, wait a minute. Was I not supposed? Okay. See, I knew I should have brought my fan in here. I had a fan. I could have put it up and hit myself.
It is getting a little. Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me see. I think I have one. No, because you have answered all my questions. Like, this has been a one. I so enjoyed you today.
Thank
But
you.
you have to give us one more piece before you go, and please leave the audience with some words of encouragement. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a taste of Lavina, Poetic, Empress, coming at you with a taste of True. Mr. Eric DeVaughnn.
Hey, I appreciate your platform. I thank everybody who's come out to listen. So, and as far as encouraging words, I gotta look for those. But I've got one. I'm certain I've got one. I just gotta pull it up. Oh, you know what? There's a process to this, right? So, I can open my recent. Here we are. I wrote a poem about missing my daughter, and it came from a rough place, you know, as that type of poem is expected to. And then someone needed, someone needed a poem for their mother because she had been diagnosed with, oh, what is it called? What's it called when you start to lose your mental faculties? How ironic. Sorry?
Dementia.
Dementia. How ironic is it that I'm asking for, what do you call it when people start forgetting things and I forgot what it's called? Right?
You don't have
to. Yeah. Oh, so funny. So they needed a poem for their mother, and I decided to repurpose the poem I wrote for my daughter. And it should be here. If I can remember the title of it, I can search for it. I'll tell you what, I'll pull up something else that's right here. our weight in stars. What is the measure of moon in orbit and the stress having carried out our collective wishes in a wicker basket full of holes, torn from each other through much wear and use? Nothing is certain in this context or in any. No breath guaranteed, no loyalty promised, when the stars themselves are lies. Lies which we still believe each time we blink in response to their flicker, whose existence may only serve to remind the universe of her fleeting nature as she looks down upon the hopelessly unwilling, whom, without being so prompted, might just float away, join the flotsam washed ashore on other, more well-managed worlds.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Your delivery, your voice. Yes, you just pull people in, pull people in. It's
I
just
appreciate it.
beautiful,
I'm
beautiful.
honored. I'm honored. And I hope everyone found some encouragement in that poem. You know, it's kind of a seize the day, live for the moment poem.
I'm sure that they have found encouragement just in hearing you today, because one thing I've learned is that things we do and writing and um, whatnot, that inspires people.
Yes,
So, yes, we were definitely encouraged today by your presence and your
thank you.
gifts and your talents. Thank you.
I
We
appreciate
appreciate
you. I appreciate you creating the space. Don't talk like that. What you mean, man?
it.
Please excuse. I've got a little bit of the COVID cough still left, but we're getting rid of it. All right.
Well, you're welcome and continue to feel better. Get some hot lemon tea
Yeah.
with two little cough drops, a dash of
That'll
honey.
knock it right out, right?
Not listen, knock it right out. We call it mama tea.
Mama T.
That's mama
Yo,
tea.
I
Yes,
love it.
you gotta get a cup of mama tea.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yes. Well, Mr. DeVaughnn, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for taking time out to come and enjoy True, Mr. Eric DeVaughnn. Please tune in next Tuesday night. Uh, I believe, um, well, I'm not going to call another post name while you're on the screen. I'll say it when you. I'm serious
I
because
don't
this has
mind.
been all about you. It's all
Yeah.
about you. True, the poetic. It's been all
Follow,
about you tonight.
if I could promote really quickly, folks, Innate
Yes,
Divinity Books.
please. And tell
Follow
people
us
where they can find you at.
at True the Poetic here. Most platforms I am at True the Poetic. And then also at Innate Divinity Books. INNATE Divinity DIVINITY books, all one word. All right. Check us out. We
Yes.
do have editing services, formatting services. I create book covers. And if you care to submit your manuscript or something you're writing, we'd love to take a look. Or NADivinityBooks.com as well.
There we go. Thank you.
All right.
And you can hit the little X button for me.
All right.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in tonight. That was an excellent show. Beautiful, gifted, talented, his delivery. I so enjoyed. And yes, I do enjoy the people that come on here. You guys are totally awesome. Everyone I've had on my show has been totally awesome. Thank you. And please tune in next Tuesday. Excuse me. Tune in to next Tuesday night for a taste of Mr. Wits. So I'm looking forward to that also. I look forward to all the people who are coming on. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a taste of Lavina, Poetic, Empress, and I'm coming at you. Good night, loves. Thank you.